What's up? What up? What's good? What up with it? What it do? Que ondas? Que paso? Wagwan? However you say it from where you're from, we appreciate you being here with us. I am Steve, one half of the co-hosting team, and this beautiful lady over here is
Liz.
And this is Marriage for Grown Folks. A cool space, somewhere where we want to talk about a few things, not all pertaining to marriage, but from the perspective of people who have been married for a couple of years, all right? Successful, unsuccessful at times, but nonetheless, we are here.
We're here.
So, hit that like button. Subscribe, leave a comment. You can find us on Instagram, Marriage for Grown Folks. You can find us on TikTok, Marriage for Grown Folks. And for my my other group that we've been really searching and seeking for, our Elder Statesmen, you can find us now on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Under Marriage for Grown Folks. Check us out. All right? So, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Today's a good day for me.
Yes.
Today's a good day for me. How about you?
I think overall it'll be a good day.
Right.
Feels kind of early.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like we had a whole bunch of things to do to get here today.
Well, I mean, that's the fun of it all. Like,
Okay.
how bad do you want it?
And we got here, so
Right.
I guess I want it.
How bad do you want it? We learned that people give up on their podcast 4 episodes in. This is like 14 or 15 for us.
Right.
So sometimes you got to work for what you love.
Maybe 20.
Maybe 20?
It's closer to 20, I think.
What? What's
That we've
close to 20?
recorded.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're probably probably greater than 20. You're probably right.
Right.
But it feels good to be here, though. It always is. And just a great feel when we get into the studio. And it feels like your mood changes. You go into, like business mode, like time to handle some business.
Yep.
But all we're doing is
Time
talking.
to work.
Time to work. Time to work. Let's have a little fun.
Ready?
Let's get to it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Temp check.
Temp check.
Worst job you've ever had?
Oh, this is easy, breezy, lemon squeezy. For me, the worst job I've ever had would be a telemarketing gig. And that telemarketing gig was so funny. What's so
I
funny?
knew that's what you were going to say.
Why?
That was one of two.
One of two? Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
So the telemarketing gig that I had, it might have been after Burger King, but before Red Lobster, I believe. It might have been before Red Lobster. I don't know where exactly it falls in line, but the worst job I ever had was a telemarketing gig, and I hated the gig because my job was to cold call people, and try to sell magazines. Right? Yes, I'm 45 years old, and I'm old enough to remember when there was actual subscriptions to magazines that people would call, and you'd have to put your credit card information in, and they would send these publications to your home.
Who was really buying subscriptions like after a cold call, though? Like, that's a setup for failure, I think. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, there I was. Trying to make a few bucks. They were paying at a higher rate than normal. Why? Because they knew how tough the gig was. So the turnover rate was extremely high as well. And me being a rebellious person, I recognized that, people don't want to buy subscriptions over the phone.
No.
People don't even want to listen to you. As a matter of fact, people would prefer to just cuss you out and hang up the phone. So I experienced that for about a week.
You lasted a week.
2. What are you
Proud of
talking
you.
about? 2 weeks. 2 weeks. I made it 2 weeks.
I remember when you got that write-up.
Yeah. So after the first week, I recognized that I wasn't going to get anybody to buy these publications. They weren't going to buy these subscriptions. And no matter how well I learned the script or how charismatic I was, it just wasn't going to happen. So I put it on autopilot. And I just started saying, you know what? I ain't trying to sell nothing. I'm just going to read the script. I'm going to call people, read the script, and call people and read the script. And I wasn't going to push because at the bottom of the script, there's another piece of urgency.
Okay.
Which means you're trying to close. You're trying to bait them. You're trying to keep them on the line. And the longer you keep them on the line, the greater chance of them buying a subscription. Nobody cared.
Okay.
I made one sale, and I felt awful. It was to a family, but the kids answered. And they already had a subscription, so theirs would be a renewal. And I sold to these kids who said all of the words, the yeses, and all of the, I was like, oh, this is awful. This is terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I'm not doing this anymore. And I think it might have been the day after where they walked in and they escorted me to the back of the, whatever this was, the little, whatever it was, little office. Yeah, the back office. And they tell you that you're not befitting of the company. You're not performing at a level that they would like you to perform at. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? I'm here collecting this money, reading this goofy script, trying to sell subscriptions to people who don't want it. What am I supposed to do? Mm-hmm. And then when this mid-level manager decided to underwhelm me with whatever he wanted to call me or say, that's when I lost it. You know how I get down.
Yep.
You making about $13 an hour. Who you think you talking to? I know you ain't got no degree. I know that if I see you in the streets, you know what time it is. Don't talk to me like you're above me. I'm here for a check. This is probably the end for you, buddy. And so that was it. And got my check, and I left.
Yeah, you called me. I picked you up. I do remember that question.
Yes.
Who did do well in those settings? Did you know any?
Yeah, him. The people who move up, right? Only them. Don't nobody else care. It was a hodgepodge, a motley crew of people in this place. I'm 19 maybe, right? I'm 19. I got a 45-year-old woman in there. I got a 22-year-old woman in there. I got dudes that's looking like they on their last leg in there. I got dudes that obviously served some time in there. And then you got people who are, it was like I said, a hodgepodge or a motley crew of people in here trying to sell these goofy subscriptions, and the turnover was ridiculous.
High, extremely high. Got it.
What about you?
So I was a little older. I was already graduated from.
I know where you're going with this.
From college, so I already had my bachelor's degree. Do you remember this?
Oh, fire! No, actually, I thought you were going somewhere else, but go ahead.
Oh, you'll have to tell me.
No, I'll tell you offline.
Okay. So, worst job was, what was the name of it? I was selling, it was a sales job as well in customer service, but it was sleep apnea machines.
Oh, I remember that job, and I was out of the country.
You were out of the country at the time. I needed something a little more like 9 to 5-ish, because before that I had been teaching, but it was like a split shift that I was doing. And so there was a huge amount of time in between. It was like 4 hours between teaching in the morning and then having to teach at night. And that didn't really work for our, the schedule, you being out of the country and me having to take care of our daughter. So I took this position. It was a huge, huge demotion because I had been, teaching. I'd gone off to school. But for whatever reason, I don't know exactly why, but I hadn't gotten like a full-time position or whatever it was. And so in the meantime, I was doing these whatever. And so I got the idea to sell sleep apnea machines. It was the dumbest move I'd ever made. The commute was long. The money was not great. I remember I would use the calling cards at the time and call you and be like, okay, so I'm going, this is my break, and I'm driving home. I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to do this job. I ended up lasting, I don't know, I think I lasted maybe 2 or 3 months. I was like, I'll just wait this out and I'll just wait for the next school year and I'll take on a new teaching position. Ironically, we didn't do that. We ended up that following season moving to LA.
Got it.
Yeah. So worst job.
Worst job ever. Woo.
Worst job ever.
Worst job ever.
For me. Sleep apnea machines.
Sleep apnea machines. That's super wild. Super duper wild. Super duper wild.
Yeah.
So what are you listening to right now?
Oh, so a lot of old school. I've
Yeah.
been reverting back and forth from really upbeat things to just in my nostalgia bag right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, more Anita Baker, more Isley Brothers, real
Yeah.
old school right now.
Yeah.
Feels good.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I
What
think
about
I'm in
you?
the same. I'm in the same place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like jumping around from here to there. You know what I mean? Some old stuff, some new stuff. I gave the young boy Lareezy a shot.
How do you spell
Lareezy's
that?
L-A Reezy, R-E-E-Z-Y. Pretty dope little young MC.
Okay.
Younger MC from Louisiana. So Louisiana is the name of the project.
Got it.
Found him on social media. A lot of the people that I follow him as well. He's a younger guy.
Okay.
Seems to be a little more advanced. I think he's an independent, doing his thing. Pretty dope. And I like some of his references. I definitely love his choice of production. So it's good production. Don't know if I can really. I'm 45. I'm 45.
So you listen and you feel a little what? Like
Old.
aged? Okay.
Why do you supplement words for old?
I'm not. I'm just.
No, as far as the demo goes, it's not my demo, but he's obviously being raised by he was raised by someone of our ilk.
Okay.
You know, so he pays homage to a lot of the big timers and all of that good stuff. So I appreciate him. I think lyrically he jumps around a little bit, but I did like the production on it. Pretty dope.
When you say jump around, you mean like between genres or?
No, when I say jump around, I mean his flow. You know what I mean? His lyricism.
Trying different
Yeah,
styles.
trying different styles, But I think he's going to have a moment because I think he's independent. I don't think he's signed. He's doing his own thing. He's got a good buzz, and it's solid. You know what I mean? Solid.
Okay.
Even his, like I said, his production is dope. He also has quality, like, content. It's not just, you know what I mean? He's not just clubbing you over the head with some nonsense. So
Good.
I appreciate that.
I like his name too.
Yeah, he can play around with that too. Louisiana. That's dope.
Louisiana. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Okay. Now we're talking about what we listen to. Obviously, you've had some people give you some feedback, as have I. And I guess some people want us to start talking about what we read because we are avid readers. We're big on that. So I guess we can do that. So what are you reading right now, ma'am? Or what have you finished reading?
Okay. So let me just put out here a couple things. First thing is most of my books that I read are audiobooks. So I know there's a little bit of controversy as to whether or not that's considered reading. In my book, as a person with ADHD, as an educator, I think it takes practice, but it is very much reading. So just going to put that out there. So I'm not holding books, but I am reading. And so I read a lot of books. I run through a lot of books throughout the week. One that sticks out for me right now, it's Total Mess. It's a thriller.
Thriller, killer, salmonella.
All of that, okay? It's All the Other Mothers Don't. Oh, no. All the Other Mothers Hate Me.
All the Other Mothers Hate Me.
All the Other Mothers.
Who's the author of that?
Her name is Sarah. Dang it. I'll get it for you.
All right.
Yep.
Well, say
Sarah
the title again so they get that.
All the Other Mothers Hate Me.
It's because, with me, I tell you, I'm terrible with authors. I'm really good with titles. And that's like movies. That's just how I am. Like, give me the name of the book. I'll figure the author out.
Yep.
So tell us about it.
So long and short, it's a woman who's from U.S. who has now moved to London.
Okay.
So she's been in London actually a long time. Met a Man was a part of this like girl group or something like that.
Okay.
And her son is, the way they describe it, he seems to be somewhat like neurodivergent.
Okay.
So he's got some stuff going on, but he's like a little man. So he's like a 10-year-old, but he's maybe 20 or something like that, the way that he manages himself. And basically, she's recognized like he doesn't fit in and neither does she in the school settings and things like that, because it's this upscale school and he does well in school, but socially he's just not managing.
Right.
And she's like now thinking, I've wrecked him.
I done messed this boy up.
And in a lot of ways, she is just not a responsible mother.
Got it.
she loves him, but she's just not responsible. And she just, again, doesn't quite fit in. And so there's a lot of that type of parallel. Well, this thing happens within the school and it starts to bring up all of these different things with like class and value and all the other things. It's funny. It's engaging. There is a problem that needs to be solved. Therefore, it's a thriller. And so people present in ways that aren't quite accurate. And anyway, so it's just this kind of sequence of events that happen, and you have to solve it. And it was a good read. It was light. It was fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't too hard to keep up with kind of where I'm at in life right now. And good read, though.
Okay. Quality. Yeah. Well, for me, it's different. I'd like to have that book in my hand. I like to feel it.
I know.
And also for retention, hearing it in your head, but also reading the words allows me to retain it, where I've done a lot of audiobooks. I've done matter of fact, some of what we would call the important books or the well-known books I've done in the car when I was, with the company and I was on the road for 16 hours a week. So I think I might have did Rich Dad, Poor Dad in the car. I might have did Richest Man in Babylon via audiobook. I know I did The Power of Now in the car. So, but for the most part, I like to have that book in my hand so I can read it, read the words, go at my pace, but also just seeing the words helps me retain. And I'm a big retention guy. I don't really read. I got to do better. I don't really read for fun. I'm usually a self-help guy, or I'm looking on the bestsellers list, or I'm following somebody that I see that I believe to be of significance, and I find their book list. Whether it's Oprah, whether it's Jay, whether it's Nipsey. I'm looking to see what's on there. Somebody that I think I'm connected with. I want to see what they're reading. But right now, I just finished. I haven't started a new book yet. I'm waiting, via Amazon. We're waiting for Paulo Coelho's Warrior of the Light to come in, as well as Viola Davis's memoirs. So I'm going to knock those two out.
Finding Me. That's
Finding Me. All right, so I'll knock that out. But I just finished Jason Wilson's The Man, the Moment Demands. I'll say that again. Jason Wilson is the author. He's a fantastic gentleman. I've mentioned him in a couple other pods. But he's got a school, which is martial arts centric, and it's called the Cave of Abdullam. You know what I mean? And if you are a Bible reader and you subscribe to the scriptures, the Cave of Abdullam is really, really big. Spiritual, it's huge. It's one of the biggest stories. It's heavy, it's heavy. But The Man, the Moment Demands is a call out to men who have locked in on, a certain type of man that they've been built into.
Yes.
The quintessential or prototypical, old school ideas. Those ideas he's basically fighting against. Even the idea of the alpha and the beta. And he happened to write this book, as he's also a big proponent. That's the word I was looking for the idea of being a comprehensive man. And what I've read that to be is anything could happen at any moment. You know what I mean? You don't want to just engage in hyperbole and have the idea that, it's always going to be the worst case scenario. But the truth is, life will throw you curveballs and fastballs and all type of, pitches, so to speak, to use that metaphor. But you have to be able to meet the moment. A good man can meet the moment, And I also fell into the idea of being a certain type of man. I think a lot of us do that. Our uncles give it to us, our grandfathers, our faith, schools, music, TV. And next thing you know, you've selected who you believe you'll be. And the truth is, when the moment presents itself and you're needed, a lot of us miss the moment. We just flat out miss it because we've only subscribed to being that type of man. I'm the guy in Goodfellas. I'm the guy in Braveheart. I'm the guy in Rocky. I'm the guy on this CD or this old CD or this old piece of music. And the truth is, that ain't what the moment might need. Right. And, for me, as I said before, in this moment, of grief for us, we just lost our brother, my baby brother. And I do believe that was the book that I needed to read as I was called on in the moment to be something that I never thought I had inside of me. So fantastic book, Jason Wilson, The Man the Moment Demands. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to The Warrior of Light, who my homeboy Roscoe, what up, Sco, told me to read years ago. So I think he told me also that he believes that that's the proper book for me to engage in this moment.
In this moment, okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna knock that out.
Okay.
I'm gonna knock that out.
I might read it as well.
Yeah.
We
See how
love
we go
Paulo.
with that. Yeah. Yeah. So there's the books. And that's what we're listening to as well. We hope that you guys engage. All right. Leave us a comment. What you reading right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Leave us some comments, y'all. What y'all reading? What do we need to be reading?
Mm-hmm.
What do we need to be reading? All right. So let's get into it. Oh, my favorite segment.
Shooting it straight.
Shooting it straight. Pew, 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 pew. I don't even know if you can do that on YouTube, right? I don't know if I can make a pew, pew, pew sound. Pew.
Lickities.
Blickety. The blickety. Go back. We're making reference to some old stuff. The blickety. All right. So shoot it straight. Shoot it straight is our attempt at engaging in some of the in vogue topics or ideas of the moment. We don't want to spend our entire hour and a half, 2 hours talking about these things because that would make us a reactive podcast. And we don't want to just be reacting all the time.
Right. We
We want to talk about some topics that might help some people or might entertain some people, as we talked about in the beginning. So shooting it straight, we'll both give our takes on some of these things. We've got 3 of them. And setting it off for the first one is remembering George Floyd. This is the 5-year anniversary of our brother who gave the ultimate sacrifice, even though he didn't want to, in Minnesota 5 years ago during COVID, when the world's attention was on Minnesota. Right. So I think I'll go really quickly.
Okay.
We don't have to spend too much time on it. It still sucks. I remember the feelings. I remember the emotions. I remember being in COVID, and once again, like I said, our attention was definitely directed on this moment, and we lost a lot of other people. We could throw those names out, but that happened. Boy, did that happen in broad daylight in front of a lot of people. It was ugly to watch. It was disgusting to watch, and it unveiled, for some people who don't have eyes, it unveiled something that we know as Black folks to be true. You know what I mean? Something that we've dealt with, talked about, grappled with, fought against for years. And, it's the idea of policing in this country. Mm-hmm. And of course, I'll never be anti-policing. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? We need police. We need, control. We need, guardrails. But I also know that in this particular country, America, that I love so much, the history of policing has a dark, ugly, nasty, filthy start, and here we are, 500 years later, and we still in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
We got to operate by a different set of rules. I've got to teach my son and my daughter how to move regards to policing and so and such. Mm-hmm. And watching this brother expire in front of our eyes on our phones and on C-SPAN and Fox and CNN and MSNBC, and seeing the world react was incredible.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you pretty much share a lot of the same sentiments. I think one thing to note, and just for me, just kind of reviewing what had happened with George Floyd, was since there have been over 1,500 bills that were passed in regards to policy and policing and things like that. But the majority of those bills don't really address police accountability. And so it's really interesting to me. I'm like, it's some smoke and mirrors things going. Let's pass all of these different things, but let's not really pass the things that we really need to be addressing. And just as of recent, Trump's administration rolled back a lot of those efforts. Yep. So they'll be putting that off. They're just going to put off all the investigations that they're supposed to be doing for policing that has happened. That's been questionable. Yeah. So
how about that?
Yeah.
And there it is in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're talking about.
Yep. So there's that. So yes, we can remember George Floyd, but unfortunately, I mean, there's probably going to be a lot more instances because it's just not important enough.
Right. Once again, Racism is embedded in the fabric of this country. It is not just people with hoods riding on horses and lighting flames to crosses and not hiring people. When something is embedded into something, it affects everything. It affects everything. But
the Grizzlies have been pardoned, and they'll be out from the tax fraud.
Noted.
Yeah, just FYI.
Noted.
Everybody likes the Grizzlies.
Yeah, right.
They have a great reality show, or had a great one.
Yeah.
He
Important.
just pardoned them.
Yeah, important. Very important.
Got it.
Those things are important.
All right, next topic.
Next topic.
Let's do it.
Right. Well, let's have a little fun with this one. The NBA playoffs. Yay! Yay!
I'm gonna choose because okay. Yay, playoffs.
Playoffs.
So they're playing some basketball.
Yeah, buddy. Curtis Blow.
I can't say I haven't been watching the games because I have. I watched something. Yeah.
Glancing at the games.
I mean, yeah, I've been watching. And I just feel like I've lost a lot of interest since the Celtics are out. And
yeah, my wife is a Celtic fan. We are New Englanders. I guess it makes sense to me. It will always be weird.
I grew up in a home of Celtics fans.
I got it.
Therefore, I inherited it. And, I mean, typically they're a really good squad. So
not typically. Lately.
Okay, well, and before, they might take, like, lulls, like every other team, Laker people. Not you, but just saying.
They will come for you, and I can't do anything to help you. Laker fans are not objective.
I know.
They are fanatical, and they will come for you.
We have one in the house.
We got one in the house. He don't want to hear nothing about no other team, specifically the Clippers. Don't mention them.
Oh, my gosh.
That's blasphemy. That's blasphemous in the house.
Absolutely.
I told the boy that, remember I told you, hey, I used to work for the Clippers, son. There are some photos somewhere with you in a photos onesie. And he said, burn it.
Yeah.
Burn it, daddy. We don't rock with them Clippers over there.
I don't get it.
We took the boy to a Clipper game. Was it early last season?
Yes.
Early last season. James Harden was having a shooting low, struggling, trying to find his rhythm.
Yes.
That game, he found it and hit some big shots.
It was a great game.
It was a great game. We're not Clippers fans,
but it was a good game.
Great game. James Harden hits that shot. Crowd goes wild. We all stand up and go, whoa. What did Lincoln do?
He didn't stand.
He sat just like this. I'm not standing for these dudes. Laker fan, die hard.
Yeah.
Woo. And he means it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. But no, the NBA playoffs, this is a good year for basketball. Definitely a good year for basketball.
I want you to predict who you think.
You want me to be one of the prognosticators on said sports show?
Yep.
One of the prognosticators on said sports show? I guarantee. No. What do I see? I don't see anybody stopping OKC. I believe wholeheartedly, as a coach, as an ex-player, as a trainer, all the stuff that I did with the game of basketball and being a basketball lover and still a fan, I believe wholeheartedly that the roster is solid from 1 to 12. I believe that they're deep. I believe that they've got defensively, they're defense first. I believe they shut down things that could kill them. It's fantastic to watch. And then offensively, they share the ball. And when in doubt, if things get tough, they have a fantastic leader in the MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So they've got everything you need, from the coaching to the teamwork, being stout defensively. I think OKC is going to win it. I don't think anybody coming out of the East is going to do anything with them.
Okay.
That's just where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with you about it.
No?
No.
You want to fight about it? You want to fight about it?
No, I'm good.
You want to yell like they do on certain sports shows? No, yes, rah! None of us really know anything.
And we're just drumming up conversation.
Right, it's content. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
I was listening to, what was it, Perk and
Big Perk. I
Stephen
love Big Perk, though. I love Big
A.
Perk.
Smith. And then they had a set of twins on. I'd never seen them in that space. It was a lot of arguing yesterday.
A lot of yelling.
Yes.
You know, I think Perk struggles sometimes because there are times where he's not on that set, that show that does the debate, and he's still yelling and hollering, and people have to, like Richard Jefferson told him, like, yo, why are you yelling? That's not what we doing on this show. I hear you. And he was like, my bad.
I forgot.
I'm so used to yelling and hollering. No, I love Big Perk in this capacity, though. He's fantastic. I love his point of view, and I love his charisma. I dig it.
Yep.
I dig it. And finally,
yes,
which will help us segue, back to Remy and Papoose, right? We are of the hip hop generation. You know, I subscribe to that. That's how I grew up. I am an R&B guy. I'll listen to some inspirational Christian music and, you know, that as well.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? I don't discriminate, but I am a hip hop guy, and I'm not just talking about rap. I'm hip hop overall. But you know, Remy and Papoose were the epitome of Black love. That hashtag was specifically for them, and they leaned into it. And of course, you know, they split recently, but it seems to be lingering. And it seems to get worse. And I'm just like, whoa, you know, now she's, not to be just running our mouth, but there's a reason we're doing this, y'all. We don't just run our mouth for the sake of running our mouth. I ain't here to just talk about Remy and Papoose to get some clicks. I'm not about that life. That ain't what I'm about. We don't like that.
No.
But nonetheless, they both calling each other liars. They both calling each other liars. Both accusing the other of embellishing the truth. Lying flat out, telling stories, you know what I mean? However you want to say it. She's calling him broke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or how did she say it so eloquently? I'm paraphrasing. She's saying, of all of the guys I've dated, he's the least.
I didn't hear her say this,
yeah,
so I'm not even gonna try to fill in the blank. But
yeah, she threw that out.
I mean, it was just messy. Why would you
super
put
messy.
out the pawn receipt?
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild crazy. That's wild crazy. And that's why I came back to it. I'm just like, oh my goodness, this makes me never, ever want to have anything to do with divorce. It makes me never want to have anything to do with it because it seems so nasty. It seems like both sides are so bitter. And because they've got platforms, people will listen. And the people who are listening, although, you know, albeit all, you know, they're hip hop people or hip hop, you know, people who associate themselves with that world, it don't help the cause at all. It just seems ugly.
No.
You know, he's calling her a perpetual cheater. That she had been cheating, and she talking about how she was paying bills from prison when she was in prison, that he ain't had no money, and
apparently.
that she bisexual.
Yeah, just
I'm like, whoa.
Defamation. I don't know if any of these things are lies, even though they're both claiming that they're lying, right? But I don't know for sure. And I don't know if I totally care about whether or not
I don't think either one of us truly care.
I don't think. Okay, so I don't necessarily care whether either of them are lying. What I'm more concerned with is just how embarrassing all of this feels.
Yeah,
as it being a symbol,
right?
Of
and
like
it's
Black
like
love.
we're not even your friends, but I feel embarrassed. You know what I mean? These are two legitimate MCs and not rappers.
He is?
Pap is tough.
Okay.
Pap is tough.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Pap is an MC, you know, and there's a distinction between MC and rapper. A rapper can, you know, specific to the genre.
Okay.
But an MC, you can put them in whatever situation, they can move the crowd. Okay. That's an MC. But anyway, they can, you know, they can do special things with words.
Okay.
And I like that. Over dope beats. I appreciate that.
Same.
And the fact that they were together was awesome to me. You know what I mean?
Did a bid together.
Right.
Like,
right.
Those things are important for us because we don't necessarily, well, I think it's two things, right? So I think that there is huge representation of Black love in, I don't want to use the word higher, but like socially or socialite type situations.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not the right word, but I think you get where I'm going. Like there's these classy spaces and then there are the like relatable spaces for the everyday folk.
Right.
And
you're talking about famous. What you're talking about is fame. There are relationships that are There's famous people who are in relationship in Black
love.
I get
Black
it, as opposed to
that is represented in one respect, and then there are in others where you're like, oh, I can really like tap into that because that feels like
relatable.
Something that I can connect to. And those are things maybe that I can aspire to. Either way, they're just different levels to them, and their love felt relatable.
Absolutely.
I don't know if I would stick out a bid. You go away.
Neither.
Okay, fair. That's fair. That is fair. But I'm just saying, to see that have happened, it's like,
Sorry,
oh,
guys.
wow.
A bid means time in prison.
Time in prison. Yes.
Time away because one person is in
Gets
prison,
locked up.
a.k.a. a bid.
Yes. So thank you for that clarification. But yeah, so I don't know if I could totally do that. So I can't relate to that part, but the fact that they were able to maintain and then maintain for so long, they had that baby and then all of the things, that happened. So now to see all of this and then to see, what's her name? Clarissa Shields, and she's got all of this, good happening, but she comes from a space that's, we saw the movie, we know, we have an idea.
Seen the movie last night, actually.
You watched it again, yes. And so, to see different people being represented and her having so much to say, and it's like, sweet, you're a babe in all of this. They are married. Let them iron out what they need to iron out so that then you can jump in or jump out, because right now you seem like a pawn in a lot of this. That's just my take on that. And so, like I said, it's embarrassing. It's somewhat disappointing to see them both going at it, going on lives early in midnight, after midnight. Y'all, this is what you're doing. I think y'all still love each other.
Right. It's a thin line.
I think you still love each other.
Yeah, it's a thin line.
And I think maybe once all of that clears, maybe, give yourself some time away,
Right.
but really sit back and get quiet.
Right. Just for a little while.
Just get quiet.
In that regard.
To know. We don't need to know any more about what's going on.
Right. And no one gets an upper hand. Y'all both look goofy.
Yes, they do.
No one, and the more you talk, the more you believe that, if I had the last word or if I revealed this, it doesn't make the other person look smaller. It makes you look crazy as well. Because, at least in our eyes. But who are we? We're just two old people talking about married.
Old people.
Right.
Something happens between us, it's between us.
Right.
It's between us.
Right. But that's veteran stuff, and we thought they were there, and that's the disappointment. We believed that what they were portraying was a manifestation of some work and some good stuff that they had been put in, and to see it kind of crumble like this sucks. And that's a silky segue, because that's what we're discussing today. We're discussing divorce. Divorce.
My divorce.
Another movie reference, which is Brown Sugar. Right. That's when him and what was her name in the
Reese.
movie? What's her name? What's Sanaa's name in the movie?
Oh.
I forgot. Right.
But he was married to Reese.
Yep. Yeah. What was her name in the movie? Her name was Reese.
Her name was Reese.
Yeah, because he called her Reese's Pieces. Yep. And she was
Dre
on a
and
full
Reese.
date. Yep. She's on a full date
With another man.
with her boobies out. Los
Oh,
bombas.
Her dress was a little,
Little revelatory.
cut.
Yeah. And they pull up on him. Him and his best friend. Bing, bing. I'm here to celebrate my divorce. Yeah.
Good times.
But I think what birthed this pod, this subject, was, I told you, when we traveled back home, I was talking to an elder statesman, someone who I had connected, always seen him with his wife. I've always associated him and his wife together. Remain nameless for the pod, of course. And when he revealed that they had split and divorced, and not only had they divorced, but it's an ugly divorce. I was like, oh my goodness, like,
How?
this sounds awful. This sounds disgusting. Like, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And, of course, I took some time as I'm in my respite and my grieving space, and I shot up to San Jose to see my homeboy. And, of course, he's recently divorced. And listening to that, I'm just like, whoa, just inundated with emotion. When they tell the story, you just feel for them. And you feel for the other person, even though, when they're telling the story and they narrate the story, the other person is the bad guy. Usually in the story. And it doesn't matter who's telling the story. But either way, I'm just like, who would want to ever go through stuff like that? Because, the more I listen to both of them, the more I recognize that it's the covenant that you take and that leap of faith that you do to jump into a relationship. Like, when it ends, whether it ends ugly or not, that is one heck of a blow. that's something to recover from. It's almost like a death. It's a grief. You've connected on a higher level. You've given up the ghost, so to speak, of being single, and you've entered into this covenant, this bond, this relationship. And for it to go sour, and to go sour ugly, it messes with you emotionally, mentally, physically.
Yep.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yep.
So I was like, we've got to make sure that we attack this one. Definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
So you want to talk, go into like stats or?
Oh, sure. I do have some stats here.
Perfect. Go for
Once
it.
again, edutainment. Before we just let us lay the groundwork, if you will. Just give us a second. So this is an easy Google search. I ain't dig too deep.
Right.
All right. But this is as of 2024. You can find this on According to Modern Family Law. I have cited my source. All right. Don't come for me. According to Modern Family Law. So as of 2024, first marriages, around 40 to 50% of marriages end in divorce. Second marriages, it says the likelihood of divorce increases with subsequent marriages. Around 60 to 67% of second marriages end in divorce.
That's wild.
It's increasing.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Third marriage, it states the divorce rate is even higher for third marriages, with 73% ending in divorce. That is scary.
Yep.
That means you may not give up on love, but every time you get into it, the odds of you getting divorced increase.
So me just being that is wild. So, but me being analytical, one of the things that I'm thinking is like, I think people are moving into that second and third marriage going, it's the person, right? I chose the wrong person and not, what can I do differently? How can I show up differently? That's my thought.
The accountability piece.
Yes, I guess that's my thought, right? So if I'm getting married a second time, it's like, oh, it was them. Or we didn't work. Maybe it isn't accountability per se, but it's like I can still come in to this space as who I was. I just didn't pick the right one that first time.
Got it.
So I'm not saying it's necessarily accountability. I'm saying I don't know if we're picking the right people for all the right reasons, or dare I say we're not working through the things that we need to work through that first go round.
Wow.
That's my thought.
Wow. It kind of reminds me of when you took your praxis. Remember you had to pass your praxis and you took it 135,000 times.
I surely did.
And you never gave up on it. But you remember you said, you know what? The time that I nearly passed it, I just missed it by a point or two, was the first time. Mm-hmm. What's interesting enough is that was probably, you were closer to the information, you were living it, and you probably felt a different way. And I think every time you took it, something happened with your confidence and a host of other things that would make you not pass this, this important
obstacles, challenges.
Right. I think it's the same way. The second go round, you haven't given up on love and the idea of marriage, but there's other things now.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the third time, I'd imagine you're probably a little older. And you've probably got to put up with a few more extra things, extra kids, and more debt stuff and more things.
There's a lot more to juggle.
A lot more to juggle
as you move further and further along in life's trajectory. Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, man. But I wanted to. But you've got a host of great things here. You've got you took your time with this one, sis. But before we get into that, I wanted to lay down just a little bit more groundwork regarding like when we grew up, when we were younger. What did divorce look like to you when you were younger? If it's because I know your parents are still together, but what did divorce look like? How was your idea of divorce formulated by being young, when you were young rather?
It was fun.
What?
So right, I know that's kind of it's kind of shocking. Right?
Fun was the response?
Yes, because I was seeing this as a child, right? And so my parents did not get divorced. I didn't experience it firsthand, but seeing it secondhand, it was like my parents are in two different homes. I have two different rooms. I have two different set of rules. I get two Christmases. It's fun.
That looked appealing to you.
As a child.
That makes sense. Especially from a person like yourself who is very literal.
Yes.
That makes sense. I get it.
You asked, so I'm giving you
Wow,
that.
that's
That's my
good stuff.
first. Yeah, that's the first impression. Like
That's
divorce.
good stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Especially if your parents still got along too,
Yeah.
even though
Yeah.
they were in different spaces. And so one of the closest to me, that was my godfather.
Mm-hmm.
And he was my godfather, my uncle. So
You told me about this.
right. And so he and my aunt got along.
Yeah.
And he was pretty dedicated to showing up and doing the things when we were kids. And so I got to hang with them. It was fun. I got to be at my aunt's house and I got to spend time at my uncle's house with my cousins. And so for me, divorce didn't look bad at all. I mean, but again, that's a child's purview. So anyway.
Wow. That's extremely. That you said fun. I was fun.
What? I know. Sorry about that. Yeah.
What?
As a child, yes.
Yeah.
As a child, yes. That was my thought.
Okay. I guess for me,
Right.
as you know, my parents did split.
Right.
I mean, they did divorce early. So it's early enough for me to not really know what's going on, but also early enough for me to have some things. So looking back on it, with a more mature, 45-year-old mind, I guess I knew it was not a good thing. I knew it wasn't something that I desired. I would prefer for them to be together. I loved both of my parents, and in the perfect world, you want to see them happy and together. But when it becomes volatile, and when it doesn't work, and they're too young, and they've their lives are not really connected, it can get ugly, and you spend some time different places, as you said. I didn't see it as fun. I seen it as having to choose, which became extremely difficult for me because you feel like when your parents divorce early, you feel like you are mandated to choose. You're forced to be loyal, but to be loyal to both. You don't want to disappoint, and you don't really think about yourself too much until you have to. It's weird because, it's like my elders were married. So I got a chance to see a lot of positivity with that. My grandparents, on all sides, they stayed married. But nonetheless, when your immediate parents, for me, when your immediate parents split and you're so young, it's really kind of hopeful that they figure it out. You're kind of hoping that they figure it out in whatever little 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until it becomes true in your mind, until you accept it.
It's
like the
cemented.
different stages of grief. You know what I mean? At some point you have to accept it. And I accepted it somewhere around 91, 92. Yes, that late.
12.
Yeah, I was about 11, 12 years old when it cemented, like, oh, this is what it is. And this is your new normal, and this is just how it's going to look. They're not together. And, who do you want to live with forever? You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't want to live with either one of them forever. I just want to go and be with both. So I'll bide my time in both spaces. And that's not how humans are designed.
But for the most part, though, they lived in different states as
Absolutely.
well. So that's why there might have been a lot more divisibility in that perspective, right?
I agree, but it built character. I think a lot of me and a lot of my personality are a direct reflection of being a new student 13, 14, 15 times. Yeah, I've been to between 13 and 15 schools.
Right.
So because you're going back from Pennsylvania to Connecticut. So you're going back and forth and, submerging in different type of lives and different type of lifestyles and so many different personalities that you meet, and having to show up in certain spaces to protect yourself in certain capacity and also to stand your ground, while also trying to gain friends and keep friends. So, all jokes aside, I love my parents. They did the best they could. They weren't for each other, and watching my father remarried, that I gained something. You know what I mean? My mother is another addendum to my life that God gave me, so I gained something from that. But I also, gained a lot from watching that. But it did formulate. And as I told you when we first met, a lot of our first conversations, I bet if you look back, you can see, oh, now I understand why he was talking the way he was talking.
I mean, exactly. And as you were speaking a little bit earlier, I was like, my first thought of what you were talking about, having to navigate all of those different spaces and whatnot, is so it made it real easy for you to say goodbye. So goodbyes were easy for you, where goodbyes are not
To this day.
easy for
To
me.
this day.
Yes.
I'm like
I've gotten better, and
Pacino.
but you learned that pretty early on, because I'm assuming, just from what I remember of the experience, seeing it on the sidelines, right? There were summers, and then there were Christmas breaks, or whatever types of, these interims where you were, okay, I'm here and now I'm here.
Yeah, and there were a few where I was just visiting, and now I felt so loyal that that visit turned into another school year or half a school year or whatever it is, just because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to negotiate this loyalty thing. I love her. I love him, So, I think it built character. It sucked to see, but it built character. And like I said, a lot of who I am, I can directly connect, to the divorce. At the end of the day, like I said, I can talk to anyone. I can speak to anyone, anywhere, because I've met so many different personalities. And I also got a good feeling in my gut when someone's a good person and a bad person, and when a situation is not good for me or it could turn out ugly. So I think a lot of this stuff put me in situations that helped me develop a strong, thick skin, and also, another level of intelligence, if you will. Having to walk around with, to being. I'm telling you, I used to tell people I thought I was Superman for a second.
Yeah.
Like I had to be two different people, at different times. But, it is what it is.
I think just to kind of add to what you were saying, though, thinking about those formative years, right? So you were a teenager, and we had talked about it last episode, where you were like, I don't want to like play with marriage, because so many of the people that I know are in like their second marriage or have gotten divorced or things like that. So the shaping, it did create this real like malleable person who can do a lot of things, but it also created a sense of trauma for you as well, because
Right.
I don't want to speak for you, but I remember us being in a really good space, and way too young to be having these types of conversations, but
Right.
you already knowing like, hey, I'm probably not going to get married anytime soon, just off the strength of your own experience.
Yep. I recognize that there's fallout. You know what I mean? There are innocent bystanders, and life goes on. You got to figure it out. So, it was a very traumatic thing, for my overall life, but God is perfect. And from that, emerged a certain type of individual that is the man the moment demands, at times. And, it gives me a different, perspective. I really, in regards to marriage, to me, it's not to be played with. No. So it reflects in a lot of our conversation, even though I won't go off, the side too much. I won't throw us off course too much. But like when people talk about adding people to their bedroom, and they talk about like different stuff.
No judgment.
Yeah, different stuff. I don't play with that. You can do you, but I don't play. I don't introduce things into my life that might hinder or destroy the fabric of the marriage. And because the marriage,
union.
and the union then manifests or yields fruit, which is our children and businesses and relationships. And when that's tainted, then things begin to fall apart and it begins to affect others. That's to me not fair. And I'm not saying that that we're here as a result of that thing only. No, I'm just saying it ain't for me to play with.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't play those games. I don't do that. I'll play before I get married. I'm not playing with marriage. It's not fun to me.
That was passionate.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. That's not why I said it. I was just describing it.
Yeah. So it says here 40 to 50% overall of married people are getting divorced. We talked about it already. You've already prepared a few things. What is the cause? Why are people opting out of this covenant that they spend a bunch of money on and change their lifestyle for, and opt out of the world of single living, why are people walking away?
5 main reasons.
5 main reasons.
So there are others, but these are the
Okay.
five main. So infidelity,
Got it.
an inability to communicate,
Got it.
money,
Got it.
substance abuse. So a partner has a substance abuse issue and it creates a demise in the family.
Got it.
And then incompatibility.
Woo!
Yeah, those are the main 5. Yeah.
Woo! Now going back to Pap and Remy, they are all they're hitting on all of these things. They're
Substance
hitting
abuse?
on infidelity.
Okay.
They're hitting on lack of communication, money, substance abuse. No.
No.
But yes, incompatibility, kind of, sorta.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's all there. That's interesting.
Right. So those are the 5 main reasons that people are getting divorced.
Yeah.
I think
I wonder what the age is. I wish we had more time to find out what age these people are opting out of these relationships. If these are like veteran people, veteran marriage couples like that have been together for like 10 plus years. That's what I want to know. 10 plus years, or is it 2 and it don't work? Is it 25 years and you're like, I'm good.
right.
But I bet you if you get past a certain, I would bet that if you get past a certain year, you probably are more likely to stay married. I bet.
You mean
Yeah.
like after a certain
Yeah.
guidepost, or not
Yep.
guidepost, but a benchmark?
Yep. I bet you. I
okay,
bet
okay,
you.
okay.
I bet you.
Maybe.
But sorry.
No. It's I think it's fine. These are questions that I'm always asking,
Yeah.
right? And I should
I
have.
don't. Yeah.
I should have thought about. I should have
Well, this food for thought.
checked it out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
food for thought.
I wonder when like folks are going, because I mean I think 5 or 7 year itches are real things.
Right.
I know it's a 7 year itch, but sometimes it feels like 5
5.
is a like, ooh, I don't know what happened after this 5th year, So I know that there are certain points where people are just like either maybe they're just like, hey, we tried and we tried and we tried. And by 7, they're
Listen,
like,
I believe there are. I believe in the idea of irreconcilable differences.
okay.
And here's why. And it's not me opting out because I'm married. I'm good. You know what I mean? Till death do us, until you do something crazy. But even then, I'd be.
Until-
But no, I'm here. I'm joking. I joke. I kid. I joke.
Good.
Reference. We're showing how old we are. But no, I think there's something to be said about that piece. Like, who are we, Lizzie, to think that we're special? You know what I mean? Who are we to believe that we can make it with the numbers saying they are what they are, and with people walking away at this rate? I just don't know how I feel about that idea. It feels like the younger generation has now adopted a mantra of, if it don't work, it don't work. And you have to meet these stipulations.
Yep.
You got to meet these stipulations to be with me.
Right.
These lofty stipulations and criteria to be with me. And then once you do, the moment you mess up one time, we out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I'm gone. So I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know if we just aged out, or we just old, or old in thought, antiquated mentally. I don't know.
So I looked, to kind of answer your question.
Okay.
So I looked at the 5, and then from there was trying to gather just more in-depth idea around it. So infidelity, obviously, right? So we're talking about having an affair. And there's always a question of like, is it emotional or physical? Is one more impactful than the other? And I think the truth of it is no, right? Like the moment that you are, the moment you commit to an affair, that is the moment where now I can't trust you in our union, right? And it's
Right.
going to take a whole lot to attempt to rebuild certain things. That's infidelity. In regards to what's the next one?
Lack of communication.
Lack of communication. Thank you. So if we're not talking, if we're not having these conversations, to me, again, like we're not having, we did this, was it yesterday? No, the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And I told you something and I said it out loud and I hadn't said it to anybody, right? But I said the thing, and then as I said it out loud, I was just like, okay, that was not smart what I said, right? It was what was going on in my head.
And there was no judgment. It was like, you said it. You're supposed to say it to me, and that's why we're here. So let's get to it.
Exactly, right? But that creates spaces of vulnerability, and it also creates spaces of where you can actually like flesh through those that
Right.
critter
Yeah,
brain
absolutely.
stuff that you got going on in your head.
Yep.
That impacts
I understand.
us. And so if we're not practicing those things, then how are we able to communicate? How are we able to iron through simple things and the really tough ones?
Right.
A lot of the time, I think in marriages, we're not talking about the things that are really tough to talk about because we feel whatever we feel.
Right. We're talking about surface things.
Right.
Rooted in some stuff.
You got him?
Like,
okay,
yeah.
cool. I got her. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's communicating, right?
Like Fonte said, we arguing about some stuff that's rooted in some other stuff.
Exactly.
We ain't
So
really
if we're
talking
not-
about the thing.
If we're not talking about our fears, if we're not talking about our stressors, if we're not talking about that, but then we're divulging those things to, say, our girlfriends or the homies or,
Who then disseminate that information somewhere else.
Exactly. So it's trickling down in those spaces, but it's not being tapped into the person that you're actually like partnered with.
Yeah, man.
How exactly are you going to feel connected? And then, dare I say, like, how are we then trusting our partner and our partnership?
Right.
So that we can do this together. And
Moreover, regarding lack of communication, I
Mm-hmm.
believe it's understanding how to communicate with your partner. You know what I mean? People just talk, generally it's the man doesn't know how to communicate or opts not to say something because he's got other things, other trauma holding him back from, properly communicating something. And then they'll say that the woman expects the man to be a mind reader. And I've said this and I've said that. But the truth is, all we have is this thing that separates us from other animals. And it's this, our ability to speak and to articulate, right? So I think why we do well, and one of the reasons we do so well regarding communication is that we've both made an intentional effort to become better communicators. And when you're doing that, you become a better communicator. You now have the vernacular, the verbiage, knowing how to speak and what to use. There are times now where I've told you, I'm telling my daughter, this is how you talk to a man. Not all men, but this is how you talk to me. When you left a couple weeks ago and we were, getting back and forth and it was just her and I trying to get her back and forth to school and her other activities, she was communicating the way she knows how to communicate, the way that you guys communicate. And I told her, listen, I'm not upset with you. I came to grab you, but I need you to understand one thing is that your brother is in one place in the city. You are in another place. It's just me. And once I leave one, then someone's being alone. I can't leave a 7-year-old by himself for too long, while he's at his class, even though he's taking care of whatever. When that class is over, he's looking for me. And it's no one else's responsibility but mine to make sure that I'm there, as we always are. He just shouldn't have to look around to see if mom and dad are around, right? And then also I'm trying to get her to understand, you are in another part of the city and you are a young woman, a good-looking young woman, in a city where things can happen. So it's important for me to get to you as well, right? So when you don't communicate, blah, 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 and she said, well, mom does this. I said, boom, let me help you out. This is how you communicate with me. And I said, pull your phone out. She pulls her phone out. And when she pulled her phone out, we reviewed our text message, my daughter and I. And I said, when I said this was your response. She said, well, this is what I meant. I said, I don't need you to mean that. This is how my brain heard it. So when you say this, I need you to say this time right here. Not the time you start walking, not the time you're getting on the train, but the time that you will arrive, your anticipated arrival time. That helps me, right? Make a decision, right? And although it wasn't perfect the next go round, the next day was better because she knew now. I'm like, you can't talk around the thing. I'm a man. So any additional information throws me off. And my eyes get weird and I'm not doing this. Like my eyes get like this and she thinks that I'm mad. I'm like, no, the information I'm trying to process and you're giving me stuff that I don't need. I just need to know a time and boom. And so I can make a decision, for everything. And she got better at it.
Yes.
So I think that reflects also in how we communicate as a couple, and as a partnership. We also don't bicker and fight. We bicker. But we don't fight. We haven't had like a war because I believe that we're on the same page now. I think there's relationships that just aren't on the same page communication-wise and overall, overall on the same page. And it reflects in their communication, lack of communication, proper verbiage, and blah, 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 blah.
Agreed.
But I think, we do a good job of communicating because I know what you need and you are getting better at learning what I need. You know what I mean? So when I'm asking you a question, sometimes you give me an answer. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't need it. It jumbles my formula. I'm putting a formula together, and when you give me information that's not pertinent, I'm just like, yo, what time? What color? Okay. What do you need?
It burns me up.
Yep. And I'm
does.
just like, man, I got you covered.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So lack of communication definitely creates, lack of communication really creates this chaos of like unresolved conflict. Creates emotional distance.
Absolutely.
Leaves lots of room for
ambiguity. Ambiguity is the devil, boy.
I was thinking about it and I was just like, okay, so there's voice notes and there's text messages, right? And so when you are mastering or attempting to master communication in a partnership, in your marriage or whatever, you want to be sending the voice notes. That's the effort that you're aiming towards.
If you have the verbiage and you're good at that. Some people aren't. There might be people.
You got to practice it.
Right, I agree.
You have to practice that.
I
so
agree.
I might not have all of the words. I know in our relationship, 5, 10, even sometimes now, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't always have the words. You may not always have the words, but the point is like, no, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. And so that's how we're really refining this.
Yeah.
That's how we're making it, stronger. So
you
got to practice whether you have the words or not. You've got to just be doing.
Right. I don't want no beef. Beef takes time, effort, and emotional energy. And I'm like, I don't have it. I don't want to have it. How about that? I don't have it. I don't want to have it. But
I don't have time today.
Joe Budden podcast, they had a quick segment on YouTube talking about K, the response. K. Yep. And what it does to people. And first of all, ain't no man responding K. So there's that. But they talked about what K can do and how dismissive it can be and how it gets under people's skin. And it can change the energy, and I'm just like, that's one of the reasons why I subscribe to the idea of leaving voice notes. You can hear the vocal inflections. You can hear what they're doing because they might be involved in something. Oh, my goodness, he responded or she responded and she's actually engaged in something. So now I grant her grace because if she said something that I didn't quite understand, she's engaged, but she took the time.
Yeah.
Or they don't have time to talk, but they were able to get this piece of information to me. And that, once again, ambiguity is the devil when it comes to communication and relationships.
But it's also a vital piece in why relationships falter. Yep. Yeah. So financial problems, apparently that's like number one still in relationships.
Right.
And so that really being just all of the stressors of we have more bill than we have money, or more month than money.
Yep.
The saying, but
more month. You got more month than money.
But what we're seeing culturally is that people are doing better, even in this world of inflation, or, we're aspiring more college graduates, more business owners, more, right?
Yep.
And so we have money and we're seeing that growth, but now we're also seeing families wanting to really establish different goals, like financially, they're just wanting to have this different level of generational wealth. And it looks different as people are progressing.
Right.
And so in marriages, right, sometimes there's one partner dragging the other. And so these difference in goals and just the ideas of spending habits, it's my money, I make it,
right.
and all of that. I done paid the bills
right.
and such and such. And so
I'm going to do what I want to do with my money. Don't tell me what I can do with my money. You ain't my mother.
Exactly.
I got you.
They're tapping. So some partners are just having a hard time in terms of finances because of that. Because one person is looking here and the other is just we need to have a little more balance. I need this and that.
Yeah.
So having to identify or create some sort of commonality. Super important. So that's another one. The other was
substance
abuse, and we talked about.
Yeah, we were. I was watching something when I went up to check my homeboy out, and I think it was called Moms with Knives. Something that I would never watch.
Silly.
But once you get 5 minutes in, you can't turn. That's why I don't even start it. I'm like, here I am with this low vibration stuff that I'm ingesting.
Naked and Afraid had me in a chokehold.
Had you messed up? See,
it didn't make sense.
Yo, if you know your vibration gonna get lowered by some content that you're ingesting, steer clear because once it gets you, it got you. So here I am watching this goofy thing with this girl and her boyfriend who turned out to be her husband, and eventually she stabbed him. And I'm waiting, like, how long y'all gonna hold on before she get the knife? It's called Moms with Knives. It's 23 minutes into this thing. It's 30 minutes long. Hey, when is she gonna stab this dude? And she finally stabbed him. Not that I wanted her to stab him, but I was just wondering how long it was gonna take before this lady.
Moms with Knives.
Moms with Knives. Don't you watch it? Don't you do it?
Okay.
Reconsider, read some. But no, I'm just sitting there like, how does it get this bad? Like, how does it? But substance abuse, and both of them were engaging. So he obviously had some trauma, and he's just trying to get through life. I believe wholeheartedly that people are good people. I think at our core, as humans, we try to be good, and we're trying to survive. And I think, the substance abuse thing
some
is
antisocial disorder.
I think there's all type of stuff. You know what I mean? Absolutely. And empathy. I try my best to empathize. But I believe Earth is hard. As I say, Earth is hard.
Capitals.
I don't have any other reference because I've never been to any other planets. But Earth, this planet, is difficult. And I believe people sometimes are trying and using things to try to make them feel better because they just don't have it. But anyway, watching this show, he drinking hard, and to survive his drinking and his inability to keep jobs and so on and so forth, now she messing with stuff. And I'm like, oh, so for you to say substance abuse, I understand.
Well, it breaks up families.
Yeah,
man. Yeah.
And this is why I struggle with alcohol. You know that. I struggle with the idea of alcohol. I know that it's legal. Do your homework on prohibition. It's legal because they had to. They couldn't stop it. So they taxed it, and here we are, and people are adults, and after a consenting age, there are people who don't abuse it. It's just a part of their life, and they don't abuse it. There's many of them, but there are a great deal of people who do abuse it, and it destroys lives. So I struggle with that idea. I got a homeboy with a bourbon company. I love the fact that he's in business and selling something that, generally speaking, black folks ain't really allowed to be in that business. I appreciate that. But sometimes I struggle with the idea of pushing alcohol to people. I struggle. It's a duality that I struggle with. I've seen it up close and personal.
Right.
So it's weird, but I get how substance abuse can be one of the reasons that people divorce. It turns your mate into a different person, turns your partner into somebody you can't connect with. All the things, right?
Or comprehend. It's just and it's. The stressors, it's an absolute, it's hard to sustain managing a partner or managing the life of the family. Because say you have kids, right? So it's you have to maintain, the kids and the schedule and all of the other things and the bills and, what have you. And then you've got a partner who is really struggling with an addiction.
Right.
So they're going to be gone. Or if they're here, they're not always present, and so there's I'm sure
right.
of it.
And
I can't.
It's a
speak
story
of it
as old as time, right? And then you got the old school. I got to pay these bills, and my job don't pay me enough, so I got to get a second job. And when I get home, the house ain't clean, so now I'm mad. And now you drinking, now you hitting the kids and the wife, and then you're creating these other animals and these other traumas for these kids who go on and have their families, and then they pass this stuff along. It's a monster. That whole alcohol thing I struggle with. I don't think it's good or bad. I just struggle with it, man. Struggle.
Well, it's the outliers, right? Like if more people rewind. Let me not say more people. If the experiences that you had more people landing in the middle, I think then you might feel a certain way. And I'm not. Yeah,
my experience.
I'm saying you, but I'm referencing myself as well, right?
Well, my challenge would be to that, not you. My challenge would be to anyone who says that, man. Hey Steve, if you actually had more people in your life that landed in the middle regarding substances abuse, rather, you probably wouldn't feel a certain way about it, or you'd lean one way or the other. The truth is, I think a lot of us aren't even being truthful, telling the truth to ourselves about how our family deals with substance abuse. Like, I think we just all think it's just a part of it. You know what I mean? She's just, the truth is, it's like all of us probably have more people not doing well due to than aren't.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fair.
but I get it.
And then incompatibility is that last one.
Is that how we can say irreconcilable differences? So earlier when I spent off, you said something that threw me off.
Sorry
so I said
that.
it earlier. But that's when I said I can understand. irreconcilable differences. I used to think it was a cute way to avoid legal fees.
Like the miscellaneous
Yeah,
response?
I
Okay.
only heard it on TV in courtrooms where they're like, I don't hate you, you don't hate me, but we're going to do this. And this is how we avoid having to pay extra legal fees. You take this, it's amicable. I have the kids Monday, Wednesdays, and you have them Tuesday, Thursdays, and we split the Fridays and Saturdays, that type of deal. I thought
Right.
that's what it was. But when you use the word incompatibility, it brings it back to the idea that maybe there are people who straight up they're not supposed to be together. They're incongruent. They're unequally yoked, or dare I say it, in the relationship, some people grow and other people don't. And when you grow and that person don't grow, that's incompatible. I can't pull you up here, and I'm not gonna let you pull me down. Like, I get it.
So I think that that's a good segue into what I was going to kind of branch off with.
Sorry, ma'am.
No, it's
This
perfect.
is good stuff. This
No,
is really
it's
good.
perfect. No, it's perfect because what I was thinking about was like, so you said irreconcilable
Irreconcilable
differences, right? And so, or incompatibility, or whatever the term we're using, this kind of this catch-all
Amicable
phrase.
split.
Yeah, right. Like, and it has me thinking about like how people are landing where they're landing and who they're landing with, right? And so, it had me thinking about the idea of unrealistic expectations. And how, like,
expectations,
right, lowered expectations was the right. Okay, so so that's what it had me really thinking about. And in marriage, I think that we go into the idea of it with so much that we bring from our childhood, from our dreams, from like just things that
TV,
we've conjured.
music,
Exactly.
our environment. Yep.
So we bring all of those pieces in, and so we have these tenets, dare I say, right? Like, he's supposed to do this, or she's supposed to do this, and whatnot. Or because of your experience, you absolutely dispel that, but then you don't quite mention that to your partner, or whatever the case may be, right? And so then it creates that irreconcilable differences.
I get it.
And so I want to delve a little bit into unrealistic expectations, because what I'm gathering from what I was thinking about with this marriage, and thinking about conversations that I've had with my clients or with friends who have gone through divorce, is like a lot of them are landing in this space, right?
Ooh.
So there's a whole lot of, money wasn't good. Like,
the unrealistic criteria. There's a lot of that, but you're saying there's also this.
There's a huge part of like,
read them, knock them out.
Knock them out.
Because now
Okay.
I'm excited. You know what I mean?
Cool.
I'm excited.
So I got a list of things that I was thinking about. And
Go ahead, research department.
This is what I do. That's why I read a lot. Anyway, so a partner's job is to make me happy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Don't keep
I'm
going.
not. We should agree all of the time.
Lies. Keep going.
Love feels the same forever.
Woo, that ain't true. Keep going.
He should know what I need without me ever saying anything to him.
Keep going. I feel like Hove on the freeway. Even know what we do. Keep going.
This is so hard. It's got to be wrong.
Ooh.
So so I went in.
This is good. This is good stuff here.
Yeah, thank
This
you.
is a good pod. This is a really good episode.
Thank you.
This is good. I'm enjoying this one. This don't feel like work. This feel good.
It doesn't. It feels good. So what I did was I was like trying to think about unrealistic expectations. Like, what are some things that are common themes that even I have experienced in our
All right.
relationship?
Are they in this list?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you pick one. I'll pick one.
Okay.
For
Fair.
the sake of time, you pick one. I'll pick one. But this is good stuff.
I can pick two. I can pick three. Partner's job is to make me happy. I have not always, but in a good portion of our marriage, I thought it really was your job to help to make things feel right within me.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yes. I mean, I hinted at it in episode last week that we talked about, where I was just like, I had to learn as a 40-something-year-old, like, It is my job to complete the things that mean the most to me. And it wasn't necessarily a direct link to you, but what I realized was he's always going to do him. And those things, for the most part, are going to better our family because he's putting himself first. Putting himself first in I am a human, I am an independent. This is what I bring to the table. I am happy when I do these things, and therefore I am a better person to come into this space. I didn't know that early on. I thought I have certain things that I have to do as a woman to nurture my children, to nurture this relationship, to be nurturing towards my husband. There are things that I have to do. And in that time, I wasn't thinking about myself. I was thinking about all of you. And so when I'm thinking about coming into marriage, I've being with you has made me happy. But I didn't realize that it was really not your job to be the person that makes me happy. I am the person that makes me happy. He is the person that complements that happiness. And that was something that I had to learn. And so...
Go ahead, doctor.
Stop it.
Go ahead, Dr. Hodge.
I've read a lot. And so that was one of the things that I really had to understand. That's unrealistic. Yeah. It is not fair for me to think that you are the one that's supposed to make me happy.
I'm glad you got past that, because Lord knows I'd have stopped you at the door. Hold on.
Well, wait a second. But then you know what you did?
What?
You let me leave my job. It was I got you, babe. I said, wait a second.
Wait a minute.
You said it wasn't his job to make me happy, but he has made me so happy.
That's funny. Well done. For me, none of these. Like I said, I think I was pushed a vigorous shove into reality by having seen a lot as a young boy. Pardon me. So for me, I didn't believe that my partner's job was to make or keep me happy. I knew how to do that. I knew that. You know, I mean, I've always had a strong sense of self-awareness, and I didn't mind self-auditing. Right? We should always agree. I knew better than that. I mean, duh. I'm a child of divorce. Obviously, people don't always agree. Right? But I've also seen relationships where they've had knockdown dragouts, and they get up and go to work tomorrow.
But can I just clarify that statement though? The one that we should always agree.
Yeah.
So what I didn't mean initially, but we should come to a sort of commonality.
I get it. I get it. I'm sure that the audience gets it as well.
Yeah,
I'm
and
sure
I
the
don't
audience
think that
gets
that's always true.
We got a mature group of people. I'm sure they can. They can get it. This love will feel like this forever. I can understand the difference. I think I'm sophisticated enough in my emotional intelligence to recognize that when people say that, they think a feeling. I know that you're not going to always feel the love. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm so in love. I knew that. This is hard, therefore it's wrong. Nah, you know me. I do hard well. I don't mind difficult. I grew up doing difficult. I do hard stuff. I run towards hard stuff. You know that. Mm-hmm. Not a thing. But number 4, this is very recent, and you can attest to this. Why don't you know what I need without me saying it? I have now been privy to. I'm now privy to the vocabulary and verbiage that I need to get you to understand what I need without you having to read my mind. Even though if anybody can read minds in the house, it would be mom, because she's reading our stomachs, which means she's reading our minds. She knows our schedules, which means she's reading our minds. You know what I mean? She knows blah, blah, blah. So she's reading our minds. So if anybody could do it, it would be you. But I don't think you were ever a victim of me thinking this. I think I am now coming to the awareness that, I have to tell her things because my wife sees me as a superhero. And my face is blank when doing hard things. And sometimes even when I do something better than average, she doesn't say it because she only knows that I'm doing better than the average human because that's all she knows. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm like, so I have to tell her these things because she doesn't know. Case in point, I talked about this. I struggle with sleeping. You know what I mean? I do like to sleep. I don't got to take drugs to go to sleep.
No.
It just don't come naturally the way it does to everybody else. I wake up a lot during the night, which is now I'm learning from my therapist is coming from me being young and being separated in the trauma of wondering where I was going to be some nights and some days and some months. That's what it is. Where's he going? Where's she going?
When are you back?
When are you back? Where we going? You know what I mean? That type of deal. And it's fine. You know what I mean? I do like to sleep. Let's get that out the way. But when I'm in the shower, there's a lot of jokes and social mediums that the media that has these clever reels about people and how they feel like what's happening in the shower when they hear something. Well, as a man, my sleep is affected because I have 1, 2, 3 other people under my roof. And if something pops off, I got to make sure that they're protected. Even though we know 9 times out of 10, but just that one is what keeps our eye kind of, what? Where's my bat? Where's my gun? Where's my dog? You know what I mean? That's how, not all men, but that's me. But specifically the shower. When I get in the shower, our house sounds different in the shower. It's just a different acoustic. So when I hear stuff moving, I'm like, wait, was it moving this much when I was out there? Right? And then when I get in there, I'm like, I need stuff to stop. I need everything to stop moving. Stop running, stop jumping, don't yell, don't cuss, none of that stuff. I need, for 10 minutes, everybody just sit down. Sit down, because Dad, I'm thinking bazooka, boom, somebody hog tying my daughter, my wife. It's all going through my mind. House collapsing, burning down. Everybody get cover! That's what I think is happening. So I'm like, I told you last night, I don't know who running, but y'all better stop running.
Poor Lincoln.
Right? So you come running, you coming in, I hear the, and I knew it was about to happen. I knew it was about to happen. So I'm like, everybody's okay. You just take your shower, and he's 7 years old. He gonna run a little bit. I'm like, first of all, I ain't never heard no mother say it's okay for a boy to run in the house. So that was nonsense to me, right? But nonetheless, I was like, I have to express to her, as I'm doing right now. Y'all seeing this live. I'm expressing to you, the way I feel may not be correct. But I need you to understand, when I'm in the shower, if there's any irrational.
Everybody on the couch.
Everybody stop moving, right? Stop moving.
Maybe you need to take a shower when everyone goes to sleep.
No, I'm not doing that. I just need people to stop moving. I'm not saying you can't do nothing, but running, jumping, cartwheels, song, dance, screaming will not be tolerated when Dad is in the shower. I be stressed out.
Okay, at the next family meeting,
I be
let
stressed
the kids
out.
know.
No, we can do a group chat. Just do a group chat. Send it off to everybody and tell the boy, Dad's getting in the shower. I'm gonna need you to keep it down. I'll be stressed out. So once again, why don't you know what I need without me saying it? I said that in a joking manner, right? It's a real thing. But I now know that my wife at 45 and 20 years in almost is just now realizing that I have certain chinks and that I can come off my deem, so to speak. So now I can tell her. And I'm like, it don't make me feel like no sucker. Does it me being vulnerable, does it make you feel like I'm a sucker?
Not. Absolutely not.
All right. Me being vulnerable, does it make you feel like I can't provide?
No.
Me being vulnerable, does it make you feel like, yo, he too soft for me?
No.
Right. Now look at that face. I'm going to keep that face. Now, the reason her face is like that, y'all, is because y'all don't know that my wife is a cave woman. Right? We talked about this. My wife does not subscribe or like dainty, soft men. And what I mean by dainty and soft, she likes a stern type of masculine leadership. Not toxic, not ignorant. She just, if it's soft, she's not with it.
I need you to take care of me. Period. You have to take care of me. We can't be in the line of fire and you behind me. No.
Wait.
What's going on?
Wait.
No. No. You better take care of me.
Right, because we know our flight or fight responses.
And I'm a flight.
She's a flighty. She flies. I fight.
I will
I don't
grab
play no
my children
games.
and run.
When I hear
need you to fight the lair.
Yeah. Did you me tell you? Listen.
What?
I brought a bat. We seen a coyote a couple weeks ago.
Oh my God.
So we took a later than average stroll, which means it's dusk. You know what I mean? It's dusk.
Vampires.
You know, no, not vampires. I'm worried about coyotes.
That too.
I'm more worried about coyotes than I am vampires. But I had my bat with me. So I took that, quarter of a mile, half a mile walk?
It was about a 2-mile walk.
I had my bat with me. Stop playing.
Yeah.
Stop playing with me.
It was fine.
Yeah, still waiting for my non-lethal weapon to arrive in the mail.
Yeah. Okay. So
there's that.
You were just saying sorry.
That was mine. Mine was why don't you know?
Yeah. Why don't you know what I need without you telling me?
Yeah.
There's so many.
That will not be our demise.
No.
I now know how to talk to you and tell you, like, hey, I don't like this, or hey, this affects me, without feeling like you know what I mean?
And I know how to do that better now. Because I think sometimes I would be like, I don't know if I want to say this. Because if I say this, then it might unveil some other things that I'm not ready to share yet. And
20 years into the marriage.
Vulnerability. No.
What you waiting for?
Vulnerability.
What you waiting for?
Brene Brown. If you haven't read Brene Brown.
Brene Brown is dope.
She's so awesome. She talks
dope.
about shame and vulnerability and just being able to communicate in ways that sometimes the right person, your person, should never see that as weak.
But you also know that I don't mind saying stuff. So you laugh at me a lot of times. I want you to knock that off. Sometimes I reveal myself and you be like, yo, you just said that. I'm like, how am I supposed to say it?
You're right.
Yeah, sometimes I need you to stop laughing at me.
But it's fun. No, it's funny from you. Sometimes because it'll just be so out of like nowhere that you just say a thing and I'm just like, not that way. Like you could have said it. You could have said it differently. And it's fine. It's fine. Please keep being vulnerable.
It is what it is.
Yes.
But other things as well. When I'm expressing like this needs to happen, you laugh sometimes.
So so we should agree all the time. Obviously, the way that I worded that, it sounds like who really thinks like that? And that's why I went back and tried to like back it up and explain it. So we don't always agree on everything.
Right.
And even when we land that plane, it doesn't mean that I necessarily feel a certain way and you feel some way different.
Right.
I mean, I can come up with a bunch of topics, right?
Right.
That we've talked about where it's just like, well, I don't necessarily agree with that.
And you know this to be true, Lizzie. Once I know you understand the topic and the idea, the concept that I think that maybe you don't have a grasp in, and I'm like, oh, she understands it, then I'm cool if you disagree.
Right.
If you notice, if you pay attention, it's like, oh, he knows I get it. Now I'm like, oh, we don't agree. That's fine. It's never that I can't believe you don't see it my way.
Right.
No, it's like, I don't think you totally understand or grasp the gravity of what and then oh no, I get it. And this is this and that and that. I'm like, oh, so she does know. Oh, we just don't agree.
Yeah.
Cool. What we eating?
Right. Exactly. And that's okay, right?
I'm like, you're not going to change.
In this partnership, we don't have to think alike.
Right. That would be crazy.
We just need our ideals, our values, our mission, they need to align.
Right. The mission statement is the mission statement. The vision is the vision.
It is. Okay. Yep. Love feels the same forever. Okay. Again, that's not. Yeah, that's not.
You said yours already, right?
Yeah, I said mine already. I was just kind of laying those out because there's others. So I just wanted to name those. So love feels the same forever. Obviously, the expectation is, generally, you would assume that people don't think that love is always going to feel like it did on your wedding day or when you were first dating, right? Like, that's a truth. But if there's more days that are feeling, ugh, then yay, there's something that we need to be talking about. But also, it's like a matter of putting in a little bit more work. And it feels like a lot of times partnerships are failing because folks don't want to work at it.
Real. Yeah, everything's microwave right now. You're not even going to really write a book anymore. ChatGPT is here. AI is here.
Yeah, gratification.
Yeah, so we are devolving as a society in front of our face. So that.
And then that last one, this is hard, so it's got to be wrong. No. Right. Why were our ancestors, so that our elders, like, why were their marriages lasting 40 and 50 years?
Well, if you listen to social media, they lasted because women just let men get away with
complacent.
stuff. So leave that alone. Yeah, leave that alone.
Really?
Yeah, leave that alone.
I don't know if that's all true.
It ain't all true. You can't paint anything left or right.
Okay,
There's
so
going to
then
be
it's
women
worth
who
then it's worth
opted.
addressing. It's worth addressing. That's my
Yeah.
point. I think that there are a lot of our people who have been married. I mean, your parents have been married for 40
Right.
years.
Oh, I'm saying don't address it because it's going to make me mad. Because what you're doing
Oh.
is what you've done is you've relegated relationships that lasted forever to it only lasted forever because a woman put up with a man back in the day.
Oh, it sounds like a person scorned.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
It ain't all going down like
So
that.
that's a thing, and I feel like, younger love. I was gonna say black love or whatever the label love is, right? There's room for challenge and there's room for improvement, and so if we do certain things, just don't give up on it.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, because if you do, what happens?
If you do, you divorce. My divorce. My
No.
divorce. Yeah, so I'm going to run through these real quick for the sake
Yeah.
of time. You
Yeah,
know
go
what I
for
mean? Listen, I am an analytics guy, and I'm noticing that when y'all watching, that y'all only watch past about 90 minutes. So after,
really?
so we're going to try to shave some time off this stuff.
Oh, okay.
All right. But because when you do these things, what happens? Couples are disappointed, one. They start playing a blame game, right? They start avoiding the hard parts, and they start straying further and further away from one another, losing the emotional connection. All right. And that emotional connection is the thing that makes you what you are. Our connection is ours. We could never completely articulate to someone what we feel about each other or why we put up with each other or why we wake up every morning and say, let's do it again for 20 years and 20 plus years and decide to manifest our relationship into children and put our ideas and concepts into them. So, that's what happens when you stop doing the things. Right. And you don't want to do that. You don't want your partner disappointed. What kind of life is that anyway? To be in a relationship disappointed all the time.
Yeah.
What type of life is it when you playing the blame game all the time? Now you've lost all sense of what accountability is, right? What kind of life is it when you're with someone avoiding the hard parts all the time? You know what I mean? But now you got kids and you wonder why they avoid accountability and now they coaches as always and they friends and they jobs is always firing them. You know what I mean? They watched you do it, right? Playing the blame game.
Model
all right?
behavior.
And then, what kind of life is it when you're straying further and further away from one another and losing an emotional connection with the person that you stood in front of people, justice of peace, backyard wedding, or in front of a large church, as we talked about in our previous episode. What type of life is that? You don't want that. That's
roommates.
Yeah, that's roommates. Who have sex every now and again and buy food every now and again. Are you out? Well, can you grab me something too? Thank you. You know what I mean? And got to tiptoe around each other. That's trash. I'm not living like that. I'm not doing that.
Or not. They don't tiptoe. They just live their lives. Ugh. But it's,
I can do that by I can do bad. What do they say? I can do bad by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Oh, divorce.
No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
No.
No, thank you.
No,
I'm straight.
Right.
I'm good.
Yeah.
And if we do, I'm checking irreconcilable differences. We're incongruent. We've grown apart.
All right. The recollect was just a moment in the marriage where so the question was, do you recollect a moment in our marriage where we failed at an ideal that never existed in the first place? And we talked about it. I
told you I don't have anything for this. It's not really there. So I'll have fun with it. You know what I mean? Since we were coming down the mountain.
Yeah.
And we got to land the plane. A moment in our marriage where we failed at an ideal that never really existed in the first place. Yes. We had this idea that we would just live with ourselves and make all the money and go shopping and eating all the time without kids.
Yeah.
What an idea, right? We thought for a quick second that, you know what?
Our money would really be ours?
Yeah, that our money would actually be ours.
Lies.
We thought for a quick second that our time, extra time, would be ours.
Right.
We thought that we had an idea that we were better and more we were better than everyone else who had been arrived before. That we just knew something that everybody else didn't know. We thought we were special, unique bunch of idiots that we were.
Right.
We thought that we could do it without children. And just like that, we picking kids up from here, dropping them off there, picking up new shoes. Oh, you need this tomorrow? Oh, I'll pick it up tonight. And, oh, word, you don't eat this? All right, that's cool too. Who wants to come over? All right. Wait, 2 or 3 of them? Wait, we going where on Saturday? Okay.
Yep.
So
Our
that's
lives
my
are not
answer.
our own.
Our lives, we are the consummate soccer parents, even though none of our kids play
Play
soccer.
soccer. No.
Drop off, pick up. Drop off, pick up.
So I'll do this if you can do that. Trying to cut deals with other parents.
Right.
Trying to,
Right. Well, if you can
if
pick
I
them
do
up.
this, then can you, just to save ourselves the time?
So
Yes.
how about you? What
It was-
ideal?
No, that was good. That was good. I already
We really
talked
thought that we
about
were
mine.
dumb enough to believe that we could pull off.
Right.
We were dumb enough and young enough and stupid enough to believe that we could actually create this beautiful life with no children, all of our money and all of our ideas and all of the beautiful things that we believe to be between us would stay between us. But no!
No.
First
not
the
quite.
girl and now the boy.
Boy,
He came to finish. He came to polish us off, by the way.
Yes, he did.
Like she came to just punch us, so now we just staggering and leaning, and he's just like, oh, just got to push him over now.
Wait, uppercut.
Yeah, bow.
Finish her.
Finish him.
Second to, no. What was it? Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Mortal Kombat.
Get over here.
Yeah, no. I think I don't need to respond to that because I already talked about it in my recollect, but I imagine that if I left some space or we left some space right now, somebody in that is divorced could say, I thought this and this didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I get it.
And yeah.
Yeah. You said it earlier, though. We kind of answered that question inside of something. My therapist has told me that some of the things from our past help us put pillars together of what we believe our moral compass is.
Right.
And you build these pillars of which you stand on. You know what I mean? Which is really supposed to be your principles. You stand on your principles. But the truth is some principles are yours and yours alone, and they are developed from trauma and bad memories and bad moments in life, and that now you are operating with these as your principles, and they don't fit. So
Right.
she was like, you have to update, you have to upgrade your systems. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So, anywho, that was fun.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was really fun. This was a good one. We enjoyed the divorce pod. We enjoyed the divorce pod more than we've enjoyed others. You know why? Because it's not us.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Can I just offer like a small thing of advice? We
Get
were
after
talking about ways to potentially like dispel the divorce, right? By tapping in, doing certain things. I think one of the things that we didn't talk about was premarital counseling and like how you can really establish what somebody's unrealistic expectation happens by actually doing
Doing the premarital.
doing that, fleshing
And
through
being
that.
honest.
And being
in
honest.
said sessions, because I'm learning that people manipulate their therapists, which totally negates the whole
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
You're lying.
Or romanticizing the whole process of it, right?
Right.
Like the whole experience of marriage. It's not always so easy.
Right.
Obviously, marriage is for grown folks, right? But instead of showing up as the representative, show up as your truest
Show up as
self.
your truest self, and
Yeah.
never stop adding to your truest self.
Right.
Never stop reading, never stop aspiring, never stop working out, never stop your faith walk, never stop evolving together.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now you can get rid of that whole idea of, hey, I don't really have an issue with him or her, but now because I've kept evolving, this person just stayed right there. I can't stay with you, bro, sis. But I get it. I think that's really, really dope.
Yeah.
Really, really dope.
Just wanted to put that out there.
So, once again, thank you for taking the time to be with us here at Marriage for Grown Folks, because the truth is, marriage is for grown folks. It's not
Yeah.
a game, not something to play around with.
No.
There are good times and bad times. And like I said, sometimes you have to be okay with sitting your butt down while dad is in the shower. All right? And that is a part of marriage, knowing how to articulate that you got stuff like that, men. All right? We put some good books in there. So, get the books. We talked about some good
My
good
book was
music.
trash. I mean, it was like messiness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But we hope we
Describe
helped you
mine.
guys out, talking about the whole divorce thing. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Thank you guys for being here with us. Tune into our old episodes. And once again, hit the like, subscribe button, leave a comment on the YouTube, and find us on Instagram, find us on TikTok, find us on Facebook under Marriage for Grown Folks. And remember, we love y'all. But once again, marriage is for grown folks. Love y'all. We out.